All right, friends, get out your journeys book. And let's turn to the trial of Cardigan Jones.
Whoa. Whoa.
Which is with the bird. I'm there. And I'm there at Firefly's school.
Also, get out the page that we started answering the questions that go along with the story, that work on comprehension, works on inferencing.
Those were easy.
We did the first 5 yesterday.
Yep. Are we gonna do pretty much the same thing we did yesterday?
All right, so let's take a look at question 6. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Question 6. Borrow Jimmy's here. It asks, when someone in the courtroom says Cardigan is guilty, was that a fact or an opinion? Do you remember the difference between facts and opinions? A fact means we would be able to find in the story where it said Cardigan was guilty. An opinion is just what they think. All right, so do you think you know whether that was a fact or an opinion?
Yes.
Go ahead and write down whether you think it was a fact or an opinion on number 6.
So we just write opinion or fact.
Or fact. Do that first.
We have to write it in a complete sentence.
Don't worry about it. But then there's another part to the question. You've answered the first part, but there's a second part. It says, how do you know that that is either a fact or, bless you, an opinion? So you have to tell how you know that's a fact or an opinion. Okay? Pencils back down. As we are, because we're going to listen to the story. Well, we're going to kind of watch and listen to the story today. How does the judge act toward Cardigan during the trial? Does he seem like a fair judge? So there's 2 parts to that one also. So how is the judge toward Cardigan? Does the judge seem like he's a fair judge? Do you know what it means to be a fair judge?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean to be a fair judge? Amy?
It means to give them a chance.
Yeah, to give him a chance. So does he seem like he gives Cardigan a chance in the story? All right, so you're going to answer those 2 parts to that. Flip your paper over. Think about the part in the story. What happens to Cardigan with the flag and statue? Can you picture in your mind that part of the story? What happens with the flag and the statue?
Yes.
Okay. And what does this tell you about Cardigan then? So based on what happened with the flag and the statue, what did that tell you about Cardigan?
He was.
Think about how you think it shows about him. That he's mean? He meant to do those things?
No.
No, definitely not. Okay, then look at 9. Do the others think Cardigan is honest or not honest? And how do you know? Now, this is still when his trial is going on. Think about whether they think he is honest or they think he's not being honest, and tell how you know. We'll do those 4 today. So 6, 7, 8, and 9. We'll be thinking about the parts in the story that are going to help us answer that. Okay? Oh, I don't have the volume up high enough.
Thank you.
All right. Who's our lights person? Is it you, Connor?
Yeah.
Okay, could you get the lights for us? And then we'll get started with this. You can follow along in the book, or you can just watch the screen and listen to the story. It's up to you. It might not be set up exactly the same way that your book is, though. Okay?
And illustrated by Tim Egan.
Cardigan walked by Mrs. Brown's house just as she was putting a fresh baked apple pie in her window. Cardigan loved pies. He walked over and smelled the pie. A neighbor next door saw him, and a milkman driving by saw him too. Cardigan was new in town, and they weren't sure what he was up to. A moment later, Mrs. Brown came back to the window and the pie was gone. She was so upset, she called the police. She told them that she'd seen a moose just a few minutes before, so they drove around the block and stopped Cardigan. Noticing that he had pie crust on his shirt, they arrested him, even though he insisted he hadn't stolen the pie. A judge and a jury were chosen to decide if he stole the pie or not. The neighbor and the milkman were called as witnesses. Cardigan's trial started the next day. Mrs. Brown took the stand first.
Is there anyone in this courtroom that you saw the day the pie disappeared?
The judge asked her. Yes, she said. That moose over there? She pointed to Cardigan. There was a murmur from the crowd.
He did it! He's guilty!
Someone said.
We don't know that yet,
Said the judge. The rabbit then took the stand.
Did you see anyone near the pie?
The judge asked the rabbit.
Sure did.
Said the rabbit.
That moose right there. He stole it.
No, I didn't.
Shouted Cardigan.
I didn't steal it. I promise.
Order!
Shouted the judge. Cardigan turned and his antlers bumped a statue and sent it crashing to the floor. It made a really loud noise, and the jury gave Cardigan dirty looks.
Next witness.
Shouted the judge. The milkman then took the stand.
Who did you see at the time the pie was taken?
The judge asked.
The moose.
He said.
No question about it. He walked right up to the window. His face was practically touching the pie.
By now, some folks were convinced that Cardigan took the pie, even even though the judge kept saying,
We still don't have any proof.
finally, Cardigan was called to the stand. As he crossed the courtroom, his antlers got all wrapped up in the flag. It took him over a minute to get untangled,
He's a troublemaker.
declared a gopher. Others nodded in agreement as the judge asked,
Well, Moose, did you walk up to the pie?
Well, oh, yes, but just to smell it.
said Cardigan softly.
I knew it.
Shouted a goat,
Lock him up. Order.
commanded the judge,
Order in the courts.
But I didn't take it.
insisted Cardigan.
Honest.
He stood up and his antlers knocked the judge's gavel to the floor,
Sit down.
shouted the judge. But as Cardigan went to sit, he bumped the judge with his antlers. The judge fell to the ground,
He hit the judge.
shouted one of the security guards. They grabbed Cardigan and started taking him away. The jury members had made up their minds, but the judge stood up and said,
Now just hold on a minute. I'm curious about something.
he said.
Follow me.
He walked out of the courtroom and everyone followed him through the town. They reached Mrs. Brown's house and the judge walked around the outside of the window where the pie had been. Sure enough, there smushed all over the bushes was the apple pie. It didn't smell very good anymore.
You knocked it off the window with those giant antlers of yours. You silly moose.
Said the judge, laughing.
It was an accident.
Everyone immediately felt terrible for being so rotten to Cardigan, and the jury proclaimed him not guilty right then and there. To make it up to him, they had a party in his honor, and Mrs. Brown baked a pie especially for him, even after he broke her favorite vase.
All right. Lights, please.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, so let's take a look back at questions 6, 7, 8, and 9. I think I had taken yours, Jenny. But I'm actually gonna have to do something in just a second, okay? All right, are you looking at 6 on your paper?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, you wrote whether you felt like it was a fact or an opinion. Did anybody think it was a fact? Did anyone think it was an opinion? Okay, I would agree with you. So you wrote that you thought it was an opinion. So how did you know that that was an opinion? How did you figure it out that it was an opinion? I want you two to talk, share your thoughts there. Carefully watch the camera. You two talk and share your thoughts on that, about why you thought it was an opinion, and you two talk about why you thought it was an opinion.
I thought it was opinion.
Who am I gonna talk to? That's what she said.
Okay, so I thought it was an opinion because was also proof because the proof that it was opinion of everybody else because of the apple pie that was mushed on the bushes and the python sticking the bush by under it. Yeah, there was one. You just give me that. Okay. Well, now you don't have to share yours. Me and Haley had the same idea. So we had the same
All right.
idea.
So, what you and your partner talked about, why you thought that was an opinion, write that down. Write down why you knew that that was an opinion. Still on number 6. All right, question 7. How does the judge act toward Cardigan during the trial? Write down how you think the judge acts toward Cardigan throughout the whole trial in the courtroom. And then tell whether you think the judge seemed like he was fair. Was he fair toward Cardigan?
So do we just write one of those down?
That'll work. This is where you're making an inference. Alright, then flip your paper over for 8. What happens to Cardigan with the flag and statue? Do you remember what happens in the story? 2 different times in the story. But what happens? What happened with the flag? What happened with the statue? Did he take them?
No.
What happened?
He knocked them over and got tangled in
Because of what?
his antlers.
Okay, so write something like that down for that first part. Right, so because those things happened to him with his antlers at that part of the story with the flag and the statue, we're drawing a conclusion here. What does that tell you about Cardigan? And we had talked about this, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. What does that tell us about Cardigan? Because did he mean to do that?
No.
So because those things happened though, what does it tell us about him? Is he careless?
No.
So what word would describe Cardigan there? What does it tell you about him? That he's just mean?
No.
He meant to do it?
No.
What do you think, Haley?
That he's just a little bit clumsy with his antlers.
Okay, he might be a little clumsy with his antlers. What else does it tell us about Cardigan? What are you thinking?
He cares, but he kinda doesn't know if he knocks stuff down.
Okay, he's a caring person, but he doesn't realize that he's doing those things when he does them all the time. Okay, what else does it tell you about Cardigan? You have another idea?
He just he is honest and he does tell the truth and he's not lying. So he is he tries to be careful, but he can't really help it with his big antlers.
Okay, he can't always help what happens with his antlers because they're so big. All right, so jot one of those ideas down that people just gave you.
What happened with him?
We are still on number 8 because there were 2 questions. Yes, thank you for asking me that.
Wait, what was supposed to be the first?
So because he knocks over the statue and the flag, what does that tell you about him? We're on number 8 still.
Yeah.
What happens to Cardigan with the flag and statue? You need to answer that part of it too, because there were 2 parts to that question.
Can you show me the influence getting
Okay, question 9. Do the other characters think Cardigan is honest or not? Do they think he's honest? Or do they think he's not honest?
Not on.
Not honest? Okay, so jot that down first. And then tell why you say that the other characters think he is not honest. How do you know from what in the story tells you they think that he's not honest? Find some text evidence. Use text evidence here to help you answer that the other characters think he is not honest. look on page 59, that might help you out too. That's kind of toward the very end of what's happening in the courtroom. Do you see the middle part on page 59 where it starts with others nodded in agreement as the judge asked, "Well, Moose, did you walk up to the pie?" "Well, yes, but just to smell it," said Cardigan softly. "I knew it!" shouted a goat. "Lock him up!" "Order," commanded the judge. Order in the court. Is that an example of them thinking that Cardigan is not honest?
Yes.
Is that the only example from the book?
No.
No. There's a lot of examples from the story where the other characters, like,
Does it have to be in like the story, like in words on the story?
you don't have to write it word for word, but other examples from the story, you can just jot it down in your own words of what happened that make the characters think that he is not honest. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then the last one that we're gonna answer.
You said only 9.
Oh, that's right. That was the last one we were gonna answer for today. We didn't go on to 10, did we? Okay, so put those back in your folder. That's fine. You can slide it inside the Journeys book too if you'd rather.
That is what happened when I tried putting it in.
Make sure that you now have questions 1 through 9 answered on that. We'll finish this up tomorrow. Since this is a short week, not a good time. Since this is a short week and we're going through this story quicker than we normally would, we aren't gonna take a test on this story. We'll just finish this up tomorrow and that'll be our week for reading. Okay?